Good morning, Suburbanprepper. How you doing? Before I got on, I had a sneezing spell, so I was, got some Frank Sinatra going there. I better turn that down. Everybody loves Frank Sinatra. It's Steve Lawrence. Whatever. So, I've changed my mind as my eyes have changed. And my vision has changed. I used to be a second focal point guy. I didn't like it when the reticule would get larger. I liked everything fixed, stayed the same. And now, I want that reticule to get larger. My eyes can't see the small little tiny reticules. If anything, I need a reticule that's large. Okay. I was at the gun range this weekend, just shooting some 22s. Just getting my 22 zeroed. I have two of them. Rifles. Okay. Another biker on a bicycle doesn't think he has to stop. And you got Karen that's nice, doing a nice walk pace. Good for her. Anyway, 22s, folks. Both of them are second focal points. And the reticule on them are so small that it's hard for me to line up the point on the reticule where I'm shooting at. I have to estimate where the reticule is when I shoot. But the good news is that I got my rifles zeroed, okay? The bad news is I'm going to have to re-zero them with different first focal point scopes because my eyes just could not see the glory of those zeros. And I'm going to have to do something else with my first focal point scopes. I can't see it out. I'm sorry, second focal point. I need to get first focal point now. Okay? I get a little confused. It was just ridiculous. I just could not. And it wasn't eye fatigue. It's just that the reticules are too small. And it's not that it's black on whatever. Although if the target's black, that sort of doesn't really help. I wish the reticule could be a different color than the target at all. Well, that's it. What else can I tell you? I'm going to have to look around for some better first focal points. Sort of makes sense because on my 50 cal, I have a first focal point, and when I'm zoomed in at 10-15, the reticule's beautiful. I mean, when I'm zoomed out to one or whatever it is baseline, it's pretty small. But still, it's okay. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. Sell them? Trade them in? I'll get probably 5% of the value if I sell them. Trade them in. I'm not in the business of selling pew-pew rifle scopes. Or do I keep them as backups or trade-ins? I don't know what to do. I'm at a loss. But I mean, I'm going to need... Here's an idea, folks. Here is an idea. Why don't I get one scope for each rifle and it's being the same? That is an idea. A first focal point scope for each one of my rifles that need the first focal point. Now, the ones that are already the ones that I have trouble seeing through. I got to do a good analysis and honest review of which ones I'm having trouble seeing through. And then I'll buy. No one's going to give them to me. I'm going to buy the same scope for each different rifle. So let's say I need 5 new scopes for 5 different rifles. Each one's going to have their own scope. I'm not going to switch them out. Different calibers. It's going to be a couple $1,000s at least. I mean, I'm not going to buy a $2,000 scope for each rifle. I mean, they have them out there. I have a couple of scopes that are a couple $1,000s each. So, but I don't want to spend a couple $1,000s on a scope. I could see spending $500-$600 on a scope. How much do you think you should spend on a scope? I know people say, well, spend as much as you can. Well, you got to be realistic with your money, folks. You don't have a lot of money to spend on scopes. You know, just get what you get. Another option that I'm thinking about, why don't I get just get a fixed magnification for my scopes. But the problem is there's all different types of scopes. Or all different types of rifles, okay? I mean, I have a 22 semi-automatic, and I have a bolt action 22. I have multiple AR-15s. Some of them don't really use a scope. You know, some of them do use a scope. I mean, I pretty much have a scope for every one of them. And the realism of it is some of them I wouldn't use a scope on them. A scope is just furniture. So like a home defense AR-15, you're not going to get up and aim it and look at your scope. You're going to turn on that laser or that light and do what you got to do. Thinking, people, I'm thinking, what can I do? I got to have to do a good inventory, and I got to find one that I really like. And I'm going to be honest, when I have my 308, when I have my 224 Valkyrie, I like to have that 24 magnification, okay? I know some people say it's useless, but I like to have it. And I want to have it on a quality scope. So, you know, when you're looking through a scope, and you want to be able to see the edges. If they're blurry, that's not a good quality scope, okay? You want that clarity to be around. I'm not saying you have to pay for the most expensive scope. I might check out Sightmark again. They make good scopes. The Sightmark that I have is a second focal point. And again, nothing wrong with Sightmark. They make beautiful scopes. I have one of their beautiful thermal or digital night scopes. But the problem is I can't see with second focal point. And what I also did is I turned on the light reticule to help see the target. But when it's so bright outside, you can't really see the reticule that great. And then they say, well, why don't you put that on the scope, you know, the cover? Well, they don't all come with them. What would you guys do? I see myself just going through each rifle, eyeing it, taking notes, and then coming up with a plan. I discovered, okay, this is going to sound petite bourgeois, okay? I discovered in the back of my truck, I have a a low power variable optic on a mount, a beautiful. I don't know which one it came off of, but it was in the back of my truck where I keep my bug out gear. And I don't know why it was back there. I'm like, what am I missing here? I looked around. Is there a rifle back here that I forgot about? No. I guess I put it back there one day and I forgot that I had it there. And then a couple years later, it's still back there. Anyway, shut up. So that's my deal about scopes. I cannot see like I used to see. And two, it's the bifocals and having to wear bifocals now. The point of aim with my eyes change constantly. It almost makes looking through iron sights. So I have to get big iron sights now. Okay. And I have some big 45 canted degree iron sights on a couple of my rifles. But they're big. I mean, I feel like it's a geriatric crowd here with my iron sights, you know? But guess what? It works for me, folks. So today's Monday. Back in the day, I used to work from home on Mondays. And now they're changing up where I had to come into work and work at work on Mondays, like every other day of the week. And I said, well, that's life is tough, I know. But I used to get so much work done working at home. For work, I was on the clock. And now when I go into work, it's more so regimentalized. And we have a new manager. I don't know what to make of her. I have nothing against the lady. I mean, I'm not controversial. She did make a comment about why I don't attend the morning session meetings that they have at 8:30. And she'll figure out really quick that as soon as I get into the clinic, I have a patient. I have an 8 o'clock patient I got to see right away. And I have to be there before my clerk. I don't get paid overtime, okay? And I'm not asking for it. But I got to be there before my shift starts to see my patient that's there, so he or she doesn't have to wait that long. And then I have an 8:30 right away. And I have to take every minute that I can to see these patients. I can't attend a meeting. I just can't do it. Anyway, such is life. So now, when I don't have an 8:30 patient, which is never, I guess I'll attend the meetings. Shall see. I think one of my nurses said, I'm a nurse practitioner, folks, okay? And we have several RNs at the clinic, 2 other MDs. I have my own patient load. I just give you a little bit of the flux, okay? So one of the RNs in one of the other teams, she seems to think sometimes that I'm obligated to do the RN work because as a nurse practitioner, I'm an RN. And I have to do my own work as a medical provider. And there's many times at the clinic when I'm the only person there. When I say that, I'm the only medical provider there. Let that sit in for a minute. I'm not going to be able to do the job of an RN and of a medical provider and do my job as a medical provider. Can't do both. What the nurse does is very important. Okay. And yeah, I could do it. And the truth is, I don't even have they don't give me the keywords or the passwords to I don't know how to draw up a medication anymore from the pharmacy, the little thing that we have for the shots and stuff. I don't know how to get in there. I'm just rambling on now about work. I'm sorry. Back to prepping stuff. So I decided I'm going to do a series, and I've got a couple videos. I've got a second video out of urban survival. Okay. I live in the suburbs, which is Urbia, and these videos are geared towards urban preppers. I don't want to say the word city preppers because it's a different person. But, and there's, you know, when preppers talk about prepping and stuff, basically it's a lot of glorified camping and in the countryside. That doesn't apply to urban prepping. So as a suburban prepper, yeah, I'm in a smaller town, but still it's an urbia. Okay. So I got some great video ideas that I'm working on. It's just a perspective of doing something as a prepper in the urban regions versus the country, the county side, the countryside. Okay. You're not going to have cows to milk. You still might have some chickens. You have to compost everything that you have. You have to go look for compost stuff. There's different things, different variables with that. And I want to explore that further in my channel. So yeah, I went to the gun range this weekend. I shot my 22s. I had a great time. I thought I was recording everything great. Turns out my Sony camera, and this is just a camera, it doesn't have very good zooming capabilities. And I didn't realize that. I thought I understood it had a limited zoom on it. So I just set it up to the highest zoom level. And I figured when I edit a video, I could just zoom in on that. And it would be great. Because that's what I did with my phone. I zoomed in my phone to the target. And you could see me hitting the target on my phone. But my phone has a zoom already. So I'm getting a 10x lens for my camera. So next time when I do a video, a shooting video, because you can hear me talking while I'm doing the shooting. And I was having such a great time with the 22, comparing the different manufacturers of the ammo. And I really had these scopes and the rifles zeroed. And what I was seeing on paper when I was shooting the targets, I mean, the little holes, you know, like literally that far out, the little, what's the word I'm looking for? Targets that big. I was shooting right through them, aiming them and shooting them that big. No bigger than the little, you know, what you see here, my finger there. That small, I had targets and I was hitting them and duplicating that hit. And none of it recorded. I just wanted to let that sink in for a minute. I was so upset. And like I said earlier, the truth of the matter is I'm going to have to get different scopes and re-zero those rifles anyway. The other thing that went wrong this weekend was I forgot how to operate my thermal scopes. I thought I had it ingrained in me. I'd not do a review before. I thought I just knew. So when it came to, after I zeroed my rifles and everything was going great, and it was hot though. I'd take a break. I put my thermals on, turned them on, and then I realized, oh shit, I forgot how to use these. And I didn't bring a power bank for my Halo LR. The Halo, you can plug in a power bank to it, to use, because that's a pretty big. And then I have a FLIR PTS 233. I'm like, I got them zeroed. I had some aluminum foil, and I was shooting at the center of it for the best of my ability. And I was shooting left and down. So you just move the reticule to the left and you move it down. And then you practice again. And you do that with both scopes. And you can save it. And then I forgot. My brain, or maybe I should not have done that on taking those thermals out. Here's a better idea. Maybe I should just have a thermal scope day at the gun range where I'm just going to use my thermals with my rifles. Now that would be a good idea. And I'll just use a couple of my AR-15s. Oh, here's the thing, folks. My Halo LR 640, that was meant for my bolt action 308, my bolt action 300 Win Mag. I didn't even consider my semi-automatic 300 Win Mag. It's a bulky scope, okay? Maybe I should do a video on it. And I'm looking through it, and I had it outside. Practicing the reticule and the movements. My gosh, it was just beautiful looking outside with it. It has a 2, 4, and 8 magnification, but the most I would magnify it would be up to 2 or 4. 8, it becomes too grainy because it just magnifies on the image itself with the reticule. And then it becomes too grainy. That's the limits of the technology. The scope came out in 2018, 2019, something like that. Now they have 1280 power scopes, thermal scopes. That's twice as much imaging power as what I have with my 640. Do I really need one? No. But has the prices gone down on them a little bit? Yeah. But we're still talking thousands of dollars for a thermal. Okay. What I have is what I have, and I'm going to keep. I have a 320 and a 640. Both of them are quite adequate for what I need. And I am going to get it zeroed, folks. And I am going to record a good video of me zeroing it. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And here's what I could do, folks. I could have one scope recording with my phone. The other scope, I'm doing the shooting. The phone records what I'm saying and shooting. I don't know. And then I have the FLIR, or no, the Sony digital, my Sony camera recording stuff and I can look and have that zoomed in, that magnification 10x a lot better. And I could hopefully I'm gonna have to practice with that. It's about an art of making the gun range video cool. You want to see the targets get hit. You want to see me shoot them. You want to hear the pow pow, right? And you don't want to hear dead air silence. You want to hear pow pow. I get it. That's what I want to do. I want to have fun doing it. But I got some work to do. Doesn't change the fact that I still need to get some first focal point rifle scopes. So that's what happened this weekend. I have no footage that I can use. And the other issue that I have, it's not an issue. It got cold and windy last night, or cool and windy. When I say cool, it went down in the 80s when it got the evening. And I was like, oh, Murphy's Law. If I start to water my plants, it's going to rain. But I wanted it to rain. No rain. I watered my plants. I gave them a good soaking. No rain. No rain overnight. It's overcast or whatever. It's cloudy right now. No rain today. It's cool. It's 68 degrees, so it's going to give my plants some room to cool off. Everything was good. And the great thing about when I water each individual plant is I could pull any weeds that I see while I'm doing it. Or sometimes I don't. Now, sometimes when these weeds are that big, is it really worth my effort bending over, pulling them out? And the great thing is, the carrots that I grow as weed control are really starting to take place, and it blocks the weeds from growing. And I did one miscalculation in my prepper's garden, where I transplanted a small tomato plant, and I did not anticipate how quickly the carrots would grow, blocking the tomato plant from being seen. I'm going to have to rethink that one. Maybe transplant that tomato plant somewhere else where there's more sun. And now the tomato plant's bigger than it was when I transplanted it. I don't want to destroy the plant, but I think I'm going to have to move it. What do you think, folks? Or should I just let it die off? I don't know. I planted 20 tomatoes. I got about, I think, 12 of them, and I got transplanted about 10 of them. I have to do an exact count. And some are growing better than others. I should have grown them earlier. I'm starting to get some zucchini now. The zucchini plants that I transplanted are just booming. So far, the carrots and the zucchini are booming. I'm starting to get some ginger plant sticking up from the ginger that I planted. But know that ginger is a very slow-growing crop. I'm going to see what happens. I have some other stuff growing with it. So when it's end of the season for those other crops, I'm not going to pull them out. I'll just snip them for compost because I still got ginger growing in there. I don't want to disrupt the ginger from growing. Yeah, folks, this is exciting times. So yesterday, what we did is, you can compost lint from your dryer. You can compost stuff that you get from your vacuum cleaner. You can compost coffee grounds. And that's what we did yesterday. And paper plates and towels, paper towels. put them all in the compost. And what I do is I get a big hoe. It's not a big hoe, but I smash it up with a hoe. What I'm going to do is get my drill, and I have a big, it's not a true auger, but it's a big drill, and it's going to help stir up the contents of the compost. I've done this before, but I've been cutting it up, the compost. It just stirs it up more, gets everything going better. Right now, I don't have any worms or anything that I have to worry about killing. I wouldn't want to do that if I have worms in my compost with a drill, okay? But it's so layered that I just want to open it up and mix it around like that. And I compost cardboard, folks. Okay. And when we did some tree clippings, I put the tree clippings in a shredder, small shredder. Okay. I mean, I'm not a big guy. And we composted that. You can't even tell. It broke down so good. You can't even tell. And all this is going to sit till next year anyway. All this, and then the dog poop. Yeah, I compost the dog poop. Put it in the compost. The dogs have a strict diet. If you can compost chicken manure, okay, and turn that into a fertilizer, you can compost dog poop. What's the difference? So today's Monday, July something, and I'm driving to work. I don't like to toot my own horn, but this is the first time in any of my YouTube videos that I've had over 10,000 views on a video that I posted. I've never had close to that many views on a video. So I'm trying to follow that, what I did with every new video that I make, to follow that formula to try to get more views. And they say to not post but twice a week. So I'm posting my videos twice a week now, or no more than 3 times a week. And to make sure that they're absolutely just perfect. I mean, you're dealing with, there's so many YouTube channels now, but so many people are watching YouTube, more so than watching the mainstream TV, you know? I hate when I go over railroad tracks and I hear that big bump. It's like, oh, here we go. Yeah, that happened. I need to buckle in, folks. Reset this phone. Just as I was saying that, I got a anyway. Just as I talked about the big bump, this my phone fell. Oh, it was definitely a big bump, and I tried to slow down. This one's even bigger. And then, like, the people behind me, they don't care. They just like speeding through it. I got no comment there. I just got to slow down. This is the one that I hate that one. It's a cheap Gladiator. Why am I worried? Still got a suspension to look out for, right? Excuse me. Oh, here we go. I don't know how many patients I have to. On Mondays, it used to be I just have phone call days. And I think at some point next week, they're going to change all that, where I'm going to have mixed appointments. And they're going to open up my schedule and basically fill it up. And that's fine. So, whew. Thanks for listening. Had some good ideas today. Just almost just talking to the camera just gives me some ideas what to do as far as being a prepper. And talking about my prepping channel. And consistently, the one video that gets the one genre of video that gets no views at all are my freeze dry videos. But I still believe that every prepper should freeze dry. Every prepper should want to get a freeze dryer. Every prepper should have the backup batteries to charge your freeze dryer to use it when shit hits the fan. Maybe I should make a video about that. Why every prepper should have a freeze dryer and why every prepper should have enough solar energy power to use that freeze dryer when shit hits the fan. And not before. Well, definitely before. But let's just be realistic, folks. That's getting a little expensive. But isn't all that freeze-dried food that you buy from those companies expensive too? And yeah, do you actually know what contents that they put in them? Oh, they'll say that. Do you know how much sugar they add to the stuff? How much salt they add to the stuff? I don't. Do I have a couple of those prepackaged freeze-dried foods? Yeah, of course I do. Not a lot. I've almost given up on Facebook, on the prepper pages on there. It just, some of them have become so ridiculous. Some of the stuff that they post. And why are people stuffing things in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers? They're not going to last any longer. It's not like it's not a dried item to begin with, or a freeze-dried item to begin with. So why are you stuffing it in a Mylar bag? I don't get it. I just don't get it. Just because you put something in a plastic Mylar bag, it doesn't make it not spoil inside the bag, even with an oxygen absorber. If there's moisture in there, you're not killing the bacteria. And I think I'm going to have to leave. I like this one group at first. It started with a couple hundred people, and it's grown. And then they have these medical people. They're so-called medical people, but they're selling medication to people, and they don't know what the hell they're selling. These packing lists that they claim to have, and I made a quick comment. Don't worry about it. I got my own packing list. And then the lady sends me on Facebook a list of her packing list. Look, you have these. And I'm looking at this packing list of these medications And obviously, I'm looking at these medications, okay, and very few of them would be effective in SHTF. And then the part that kills me, okay, the part that kills me is stocking IV antibiotics. Now, one, they're not cheap to begin with. And two, those IV antibiotics, you got to use them for 3 to 5 days, whatever the prescription is, once a day or twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. Having 2 IV antibiotics of augmentin or imipenetin, or having one of them is useless, it's futile. So why stock it? But I'm not going to get, they're not paying me to do a review of their products or to do a review of their packing list, because that would imply, if I did a public review, that I endorse it, which I don't. And I know where they're getting their medications from, and it's fine. I just, and they just don't have the realistic expectations. Just some of these medicines. Stuffed, why would you have medications on your person that you would use during a code, in a code card? 1, do you have a defibrillator? 2, are you able to intubate the patient? 3, do you have a way of, after you push these medications, do you have a way of keeping them alive? Do you know what the ICU nurse does or the intensive care doctor does? Do you know that? Do you have that knowledge base of what you're doing for these cardiac patients? And 2, do you know the percentage of patients at code who just die in a controlled setting in a hospital? And you're gonna want me to push. You want dopamine, dobutamine, and all these other medications, epinephrine, lidocaine, and it's futile. All these drips, these concentrated drips that they're selling. You got to have these medications on a pump. Okay, you have to have them on a pump. You just streamline them, they're going to kill someone. These people don't know what the hell they're selling. And they're going to get someone killed. It started a couple months ago when I saw a picture of someone who bought a bottle of IV augment. And then these people that are selling this stuff approached me about, my kit. I'm not going to tell you what I have in my kit. I do videos about the antibiotics that I think are important. Done them several times. I said, you can watch this video. This is what I think is important. A person that prescribes this shit to people, me, versus someone who's trying to sell something to somebody that doesn't have a license to prescribe medicine. And do I know everything? God knows I don't. But I know that what doesn't work when shit hits the fan, there's some things that just aren't going to work. There's some medical conditions that you just aren't going to make it. It's hard to say that. It's tough to say that. But what you can do is prepare as much as you can, but to give yourself time when something hits the fan, and then you have resolution afterwards. Well, that's just my opinion. and I ramble on too much. And it looks like it's time for me to get to work. So this is Suburban Prepper. Everybody.